Well, hello everyone. We've got some really pretty beets. These are not the largest beets, but I went to 2 different stores to find some. So about a year and a half or so ago, I did a few videos on sauerkraut, which is a fermentation process. And I mentioned that I wanted to show you how to make something called BEET KVASS. So today is the day. It's a very super easy procedure, but it has so many health benefits. It has, they have a lot of antioxidants in them, in beets, and when you ferment them and make a kind of like an elixir, it's very good for digestion. It's good for a laundry list of health benefits. So I couldn't do this video without mentioning where I learned how to make this from. I learned how to make this from my sister, who was 18 months older than me. She was like our second mother to our siblings and a lot of people. And she passed away almost 8 years ago. And she taught me how to make sauerkraut, how to make kombucha, and how to make BEET KVASS. And she not only left behind so many wonderful memories, but she left behind like her special fermentation techniques. And we used to make this at her house all the time. And I'm not one that really likes kombucha. I've made it, but I don't care for it. But what I love is BEET KVASS and sauerkraut. So today I'm going to show you how easy this is to make. This is also good for hangovers. If somebody has a hangover, this really helps. It makes you feel good, and you should have maybe 2 ounces in the morning and 2 ounces in the evening. You don't need much more than that. And it's really like a super elixir type of drink. Also, it can get carbonated if you let it ferment long enough. So let's get started. Okay, this is the second round where you can put the beets through another process of making it. It will be weaker. Your BEET KVASS will be weaker, but you can put it through another time, and you can see it's lighter than the batch I just poured in a glass. So what you're going to do is, all these beets are going to come out now, and they've kind of done their thing. So you don't want to put them through a third time. 2 times is just right. And then you can put these beets in a compost. So I just put this in a compost bucket. Just like that. Transfer the BEET KVASS into a pitcher with a spout, and then I just pour it into jars. And I just store it in my refrigerator with a lid on them like this. And then I just have a little every morning. It's a really healthy elixir. I have about 2 to 3 ounces in the morning, and you can have 2 to 3 ounces in the evening. It's so healthy for you. It's good for so many things, like I said. Okay, this BEET KVASS recipe uses beets, salt, and water, and that's it. And I'm using a 2-quart jar. And the recipe that I'm giving you is for 2 quarts of BEET KVASS. Now, this is the book my sister, Clarissa was her name, and we called her Crissy as her nickname. She gave this to me, and it's called Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. And this book has this recipe in it, and also the sauerkraut that I made as well. So let's get started. Do not use any water that's chlorinated. It has to be either spring water or filtered. Well, you want to get an apron that you don't mind getting dirty, and this apron is got a lot of stains on it, so that's why I'm going to use this. And then you want to cut the stems off your beets. Now, normally I would use this and cut it up and cook it, but I'm not going to. These are really wilted, and these are good beets, but I'm not going to use the stems. So I'm just going to cut all the stems and off these. And as soon as I'm done, I will show you the next step. Okay, the recipe for this calls for either 2 large organic beets, and I'm using organic, or 3 medium. So there's a lot of little ones in here. I'm going to use all of these because there's small ones, and than a larger small one. So the first thing I did was not just only rinse them in water, but scrub them with a vegetable brush, because these are root vegetables which have a lot of dirt and soil in them, so you want to scrub them really well. Okay, the next step will be you want to peel these. You want to take the skins off, and like I said, there's different varieties. This is your typical beet, and this is the color that most of the BEET KVASS I make is this color. I've made it with like orange colored beets. So this I'm not really sure because I'm using a combination this time, and I usually do one or the other. So we'll see how this turns out, what color. Okay, I peeled all of these beets, and they're not real large like I said, and I put all the stems in my compost bucket. Now these are different varieties, and this particular one that kind of looks like a candy cane, there's where you can see it more. It's called a CHIOGGIA beet. There's like 17 different beet varieties, and I will put a few of them in my description so you can see. So after we have these peeled, we're going to cut them. So sometimes I use gloves and sometimes I don't. Today's one of those times that I'm not using gloves. And it really hasn't done too much to dye my hands too much. And if you ever want to dye something a really pretty pink, this magenta color will make any white t-shirt pink, and it's a natural dye. So anyway, next what we're going to do is we're going to cut these, and you want them in sizes kind of like a dice. You don't want to cut them or shred them because then it turns into like alcohol, and that's not what we're doing. We want lactic acid. So right about like this size. Right like that. That's what size you want. See, this is kind of like a candy cane looking. And there's also radishes that look like this, and they're called watermelon radishes. But these beets, I will give you the name in the description. I think it's called CHIOGGIA or something. I have it written down, so you can see how pretty they are. They look like candy canes. Okay, once you cut them all up, you're going to put them in your 2-quart jar. Okay, this is what it's going to look like in your jar. You're going to have it about like that. So either 3 large beets or 2 large beets and 3 medium. Anyway, then you're going to, after you put your beets in, you're going to take a tablespoon and a half of salt, and then you're going to pour your filtered or spring water all the way to the top, just below the rim. You want to cover these. So now I'm going to put a little more water to write this line right here. Now the recipe says 1 tablespoon of salt, but from experience I always add a little extra. Then you're going to take like a long stick. You could use a wooden spoon or whatever, and you're going to stir this so that the salt gets dispersed evenly in the water. You want to mix it together because the salt makes a brine, and that's what makes this BEET KVASS. The combination of everything here. You want to screw your lid on tight, and you want to date this, and today is January 22nd. So now we're going to set this aside, and we're going to give it anywhere from 2 days to a week to ferment. And then after that, there might be a little film on the top, which is fine. You'll just take a spoon and remove it, and then keep it in the refrigerator after you remove all the beets. Now you can put these beets through a second time, but the second batch will be weaker, but it can be done twice. So this is going to be probably a week. So I keep this kind of in the back, you want it at room temperature in your kitchen. At the beginning of this video, I showed you some BEET KVASS that I harvested after a week, and it was putting the beets through the first time. Now this is after a second time, and you can see it's lighter than the one I showed you at the beginning. So the ones we just made will be ready in a week, but I'm showing you the one that I already made, and then the beginning. This was the beets going through twice, so you can see it's lighter. And the one at the beginning of this video is a full first time beets, which is a darker, richer elixir. Okay everyone, this is the second batch that I made, as I just mentioned to you, so let's try it. This is so healthy. I really love this, and it tastes kind of like a brine, and it is a brine. It's a fermented one. So I'm going to, in the description, I'm going to tell you all the health benefits that BEET KVASS has, so you know. There's several. So if you ever want to make this, it's so easy. You can see how easy that was. You just need a 2-quart jar, either filtered water or spring water, and salt. And make sure there's no iodine in your salt, because that will disrupt the fermentation as well. So everyone, I hope you give this a try, and I want to thank everyone for watching. I really appreciate it.